Hello and welcome to managingwithmoney.com. Please have a pen and paper ready and take as many notes as you like. You can also rewind the video at any time if you're not sure about any points we make. At the end of the video there will be a short quiz. Once you have completed the Managing with Money course, we will total your marks and issue you with a certificate of achievement. Here at Managing with Money we sincerely hope that you never have any problems with debt. However, we know problems with debt are usually caused by unforeseen circumstances, as we have already talked about. It will be very useful for you to know exactly what can and what cannot be done if a bad debt situation happens to you, or to a family member, or a close friend. Being prepared is the best thing you can do. As we have already said, as soon as you feel you are in a bad debt situation, the best action is to talk to someone about getting help. For example, Step 1 would always be to start talking to someone. Citizens Advice Bureau, National Debt Line, Step Change, Pay Plan. You can also use online tools, for example, Money Advice Service, forums such as Money Saving Expert, Consumer Action Group, etc. or talk direct to the creditor. If you keep the creditor informed of what's happening with your situation at the moment, they are much more likely to work with you than against you. For example, taking you to court, as this is usually a last resort for creditors. When you approach one of the debt advice agency and ask them to help you with your situation, it is very important that they know the full picture. You have to make sure you take everything with you when you go and see them. Don't be afraid to empty the contents of a top drawer into a carrier bag, even if it's full of unopened letters. Their first action will be to collect all the information they can about you and your circumstances. They will separate the debts into priority and non-priority, as we have already discussed. For example, if the consequence of non-payment of the debt will mean loss of home, because of rent and mortgage arrears, loss of essential services, for example gas and electric, or loss of freedom by going to jail for non-payment of fines, council tax or TV license, then these, as you know, are considered as priority debts and must be dealt with quickly. They will have to assess where you are with each creditor. For example, you may have only missed a couple of rent payments, or you may have received notice that the landlord wants to evict you. Each situation requires its own action depending on the circumstances. It's becoming more and more common that the creditor has passed your debt to a collection agency and it is with them that need to be contacted. You will also be asked to sign an authority to act document so that the debt advice agency can write to the creditor on your behalf. You will also be asked to sign an official document. This is called authority to act document. This means the debt advice agency can write to the creditor on your behalf. Their first action is likely to write to all the creditors introducing themselves as your agent. Your agent will help you sort the debt situation out. They will also ask for the current outstanding balance and other details of the original agreement, for example, length of contract, monthly amount. The next part of the letter to the creditor is very important, in which the creditor is asked to stop any further enforcement action, such as taking you to court and whining a CCJ against you. This will stop any bailiffs becoming involved. The letter will also ask to stop further charges and fees being added to the account, because that will only make the matter worse. Finally, the letter will request the account to be put on hold, as you will need a period of time so that you can work out a plan of action. This period may be a month, 6 weeks, or even 2 months. These days the creditors are likely to agree with the requests made by the debt advice agency. Your creditors will be pleased that they are at last in communication with you, as they would like to resolve the situation and want to stay in contact with you. The next step will be to look at your income and expenditure. Budgeting is a way of understanding your own money situation, knowing what money you have coming in and going out. It's the first step to work out how much money you have to pay towards your debts. Basically a list of all money including wages and benefits coming in, and then listing expenditure you have to pay out, excluding any debts. Working with the debt advice agency, you will see how much you can afford to repay on a regular basis to each of the creditors, or if any money is available at all to repay the debts. To do this, they will need to know details of all your money coming in. All of your income, whether it be from work or from benefits, and also how much you spend on your expenditure or payments you usually make. This is known as an income and expenditure statement, and will act as a budget for your spending now and into the future. Now we take step 3. They will see if they can help you maximizing your income. You may be in debt because you're not receiving all the money you're entitled to. For example, make sure you're not paying too much tax. Check if you're entitled to tax credits. Make sure you are getting the correct benefits. Make sure that any family and friends living with you are paying enough towards costs. You could think about renting out a spare room to help generate extra income. Check if your mortgage payments are covered by insurance. This may cover things like ill health or redundancy. If you are receiving benefits, it may be worthwhile making sure you are getting everything you are entitled to. At the moment, there are major changes to the benefit system. With the introduction of the new universal credit payment, it makes sense to see how it might affect you. If you are working, but on a low salary, or have special circumstances, you may be entitled to help with your income. Universal credit applies to people in work as well as people on benefits. You can check your own benefit entitlement online. Or if you do not have access to the internet, ask a friend to help you. Visit www.turntous.org.uk. It's a very user-friendly website. You can find out if you can claim any benefits that could help you, or even increase the benefits you are already receiving. You will be asked about any other possible income too. Perhaps you may have a spare room that you could rent to a lodger. This will help increase your regular income. There may be some items that you could sell on eBay, Gumtree, FreeCycle, or you could have a car boot sale. You could also ask family and friends for any items they no longer want, and you could also sell them as well to help boost your income. If you're owed any money, is your tax code correct? The Debt Advice Agency will ask you to look at all areas of your spending too. Are you paying too much for things? Could you get a better deal for gas and electric? What about your mobile phone and the internet? Or insurances? There are some popular comparison websites where you can find best deals and bargains to suit you. For example, Compare the Market, Money Supermarket, Confused.com. After looking at all your income and expenditure, your statement should tell you how much, if anything, you can afford to pay back. At this point, it is important not to include any debt repayments, other than the normal weekly or monthly amounts. As an example, the weekly rent may be £100 a week, with arrears of £500. It is only the £100 that you would include into the statement at this stage. We are trying to arrive at a figure which can be set aside for debt repayment. This figure is called disposable income. As an example, your monthly total income might be £1,000, and your total expenditure might come to £950. So your disposable income to repay your creditors would be £50 a month. This is the figure you arrive at after taking into account all your essential spending. After you have paid the rent or mortgage, council tax, gas, electric, TV license, food. Most of these amounts are fixed, however you may be able to get a better deal for your gas and electricity. This is true with other spending too. You will be expected to find the best deals available for your food, phone, internet, travel, insurances. Shopping around is a worthwhile exercise in itself. The more you can save, the sooner you will have your finances back on track. Regarding figures for social and leisure expenditure, the creditors will be looking that you keep them to a realistic amount. This can be tricky if the creditor is being asked to give you time to repay the debt. They believe that you should do everything you can to maximize your disposable income. So you have to do this. Some spending may be regarded as luxury items and non-essential, for example TV packages. Top-of-the-range internet deals and smartphones can be included in this luxury group. In some cases, people may be spending high amounts of their income on alcohol and tobacco, or even drugs and gambling. Then accurate figures should be included. Creditors and debt advice services have figures that they use for a guidance to see if the amounts spent on various items can be classed as addictions. If the items are classed as an addiction, The creditor would expect the person to be receiving treatment for that addiction. Management with money will not pass judgment on what is acceptable or not acceptable with these amounts. The next step will be to write to the creditor with your income and expenditure statement. This will include disposable income, and it will include an offer of payment, using a pro rata payment, proportionately in relation to money owed. For example, if the disposable income is £50 per month, and the debts total £1,000, and one of the debts is £500 or 50% of what is owed, so therefore the payment offer is £25 a month. This is 50% of the disposable income of £50. Every creditor has a token payment £1 a month. Other options that are available to you are DRO, IVA, or bankruptcy. Once the disposable income is established, the Debt Advice Service can contact the creditors with offers of payment. And this is where the difference between priority and non-priority debt comes in. If you have an outstanding council tax priority debt of £200 and a credit card non-priority debt of £1,000, we will work with a disposable income of £50 a month. Our offer would be to pay the council tax debt at £49 a month, and £1 towards the credit card debt. This is even with there being a larger amount owed to the credit card. And the credit card is classed as a non-priority debt. After 4 and a bit months of this plan, the council tax arrears will be paid. And then you can afford to increase the repayment to the credit card company. Creditors know this is the usual process and should accept the plan as reasonable. Sometimes there is no disposable income at all or hardly any to make such a plan. In these circumstances it is often as a result in major change in the situation, such as losing your job, or a reduction in hours or pay. Illness, sickness, disability or relationship breakdown may be a factor, or perhaps some unexpected expense. In this situation the Debt Advice Agency will offer a token payment until the situation improves or a different solution is found. Whatever the offer made, the creditor will be asked to set up a payment plan that does not cost you anything. They will probably prefer you to set up a direct debit or standing order for a set amount each month. These are free services to set up and maintain. But you will need to be sure there are funds available for the payment to be made. Otherwise the bank may charge you for insufficient funds, and make the debt situation worse. Many creditors will provide payment cards or barcode documentation, or you may prefer to make payments over the phone, internet or in person. This arrangement is called a Debt Management Plan, or DMP for short, and is a widely used debt solution. Your debt advice agency may need to negotiate the best offer for you. Every creditor will be wanting as much of your disposable income as they can get. So your debt advice agency will make it fair amongst the non-priority debts. The repayment is set pro rata depending on how much you owe. As an example, if you owe £500 on one credit card and £1,000 on another, and your disposable income is £60, then you would offer £20 to the first credit card and £40 to the second in the same ratio as how much you owe to each. Now we will talk about rent arrears. As we have discussed, rent arrears is a priority debt, and it is very important that you do not get evicted. To clear the arrears you will need to pay your monthly rent payment and something towards the arrears. Failure to pay may lead to eviction. Landlords usually have to apply for a court order to evict you. They will only evict you as a last resort. When it comes to the priority debts, there is still room for negotiation. Regarding rent arrears, your landlord cannot throw you out on the streets. In fact, it is most unlikely they would want to do this at all. It will cost them, fees take you to court, plus other costs too. Then they would have to find a new tenant. While they cannot allow the arrears to continue to increase, they will be looking to find a satisfactory solution as soon as possible. Let's talk about mortgage arrears. If you fall behind with your mortgage payments, you may be in danger of losing your home by repossession. Or you may have to sell your property. So you will need a plan to clear your arrears. There are various rescue plans available. Usually, you will find your mortgage lender, whether it be a building society or a bank, do not want to repossess the home, and then have to sell the property themselves. They would much prefer you to stay and pay the mortgage on a regular basis. Depending on the circumstances, there are different options available if you fall behind with your mortgage repayments. In a similar way to a landlord, the building society or a bank will need you to start making regular monthly payments again. However, unlike rented housing, there is no help with housing benefit. While that does not sound as protective as having help with benefits, the mortgage lender has other options available to them, because at the end of the day you are buying the house from them, and it is their asset until such time as the mortgage is repaid. That means they may consider letting you have a payment holiday for 2 or 3 months. It may be that you are just waiting to start a new job. They could extend the term of the mortgage to spread the payments further, or even reduce the interest rate for a short time. They are able to do this because they still have the security of the asset of your home to sell as a last resort and get their money back. In a similar way to a landlord, the lender will require you to start paying the monthly mortgage amount again plus something towards the arrears. There are cases where the fees paid to debt management companies have been too high, and instances where the money had not gone to the creditor, so that the arrears are paid off within a reasonable period of time. This payment figure will come from your disposable income, as worked out from your income and expenditure statement. There is also the option to sell the house, which hopefully will allow you to pay back the mortgage and the arrears, and perhaps allow you to find somewhere more affordable to live. In some instances there will not be enough money to clear all the debt. This is known as negative equity, and you will probably need further advice on the options available to you. Losing your home through rent arrears and repossession is a traumatic experience for all involved. Here at ManagingWithMoney.com, we strongly advise you to seek free professional help. Download our free fact sheet of free and confidential debt advice services. You will find lots of paid companies on the internet offering tempting deals for you to pay them. They will promise to handle all the stress and worry of the debt situation. Please don't be tempted to pay for these services. But in fact they offer nothing more than the free services we talk about. There are cases where the fees paid to debt management companies have been too high, and instances where the money had not gone to the creditor. Let's talk about council tax arrears. As we have discussed, council tax is a priority debt. If you fall into arrears and you do not make an arrangement, your local council will apply to the magistrate's court for a liability order. You will need to attend a court hearing in order to come to an arrangement to pay. If you don't come to an arrangement, or you break the arrangement you make, the council will take further action. This could include bailiffs. The council, with the court's help, can take the payments directly from your wages, as council tax is a priority debt. The council could start bankruptcy proceedings against you, or even send you to prison. In reality, very few people now go to jail because of non-payment of council tax. Those that do are often doing so as a protest and to attract attention to a particular issue. However, the threat remains, and in the tax year 2016 to 2017, Bradford Metropolitan Council put 18 people behind bars. It is not regarded as a crime, but a 3-month sentence can still be imposed. Council tax is a local taxation system used in England, Scotland and Wales and administered by local authorities. Every property is assigned one of 8 property bands, A to H, based on property value, and the tax is set as a fixed amount for each band. There are exemptions to paying council tax, and discounts are available too, most commonly a 25% reduction for adults living alone. There is currently a campaign being run by MoneySavingExpert.com, prompting people to check that they are in the correct band. Being in the wrong band can greatly affect how much you pay. All of the above criteria need to be checked beforehand to ensure the council tax bill is correct. The council tax period runs from April to April each year, in alignment with the tax year. There are widespread differences between the local authorities as to how they run their schemes, but many divide the annual bill by 10 payments, allowing 2 free months, normally February and March. If you fall into arrears with council tax, the local authority can take no enforcement action without first going to court to obtain a liability order. There is an accompanying fee to go with the order. You can attend court and have your say as to why you think the bill is incorrect, or why you shouldn't pay. It is only after obtaining the liability order that the council can take further action, such as instructing bailiffs to act. Again, there is a wide range of different actions taken by the authorities in their enforcement processes. Once the liability order has been granted, the whole balance of the bill becomes payable. This can be quite distressing. So it's always better to make contact with the council tax department and make an arrangement to pay. To clear the arrears, they will look to clear it in the current year. Once again, we recommend you seek advice from a free debt advice service. Let's talk about gas and electric arrears. If you do fall behind with your gas and electricity payments, and you don't make any arrangement to pay or catch up with your arrears, your supplier can get a court warrant to enter your home to fit a prepayment meter. This means you must pay the arrears at a set weekly amount or lose your supply. They can also remove the meter and cut off your supply. The creditor will then use a debt collection agency. This could increase the amount you owe, as you will have to pay the debt collection agency fees as well. If you do not pay, your supplier can get a court warrant to enter your home to fit a prepayment meter. This means you must pay the arrears at a set weekly amount or lose the supply. They can also remove the meter, and then cut off your supply. The creditor will then use a debt collection agency. Gas and electricity is another priority debt situation, as non-payment will result of losing essential services as with gas or electricity being disconnected. This normally happens when the consumer finds it difficult to pay the bill, whether it be monthly or quarterly. The energy supplier will threaten to disconnect the supply if no arrangement is made to clear the bill. The energy company can apply to the court to obtain a right of entry. They will then come into your property and change the meter to one that is prepayment by card or token. The supplier will set the charges on the meter to reduce the arrears by taking an amount off each time you top up the meter with a payment. This is not always the most convenient option for the customer. The meter may not be easily accessible and it might be difficult to top up with coins and tokens. The occupants may be vulnerable or there may be children at the address. It is also not the cheapest solution for the consumer. The amount paid to prepayment meters is often not the cheapest option. All of these considerations need to be taken into account before your supply can be disconnected. Another consideration may be that the consumer is paying too much for their energy needs in the first place. There may well be a cheaper deal available to them. It is possible to switch suppliers while owing up to £500. If it's not possible to change now, it is something to be considered for future budgeting. Another way to reduce energy costs is to make sure your property is as energy efficient as it can be. There may be grants and help available from the energy companies available, depending on your circumstances. Download our fact sheet for more details. Here are a few of the other priority debts. Starting with child maintenance, which is a priority debt. If you fall behind with child maintenance payments, you can expect similar consequences to council tax, where you will be taken to county court and a liability order will be awarded. This can lead to bailiffs getting involved, and other measures being enforced. You may also have your driving license suspended or being refused when you need to renew your license. The possibility of going to jail is also available to the court. TV license is also a priority debt. If you have a TV, you must have a license to watch it. The maximum fine is £1,000, and you could also have a possible prison sentence. Consequences are very similar to the measures for non-payment of child maintenance. So it's much easier and simpler to find free advice and talk to someone for help. The moment you think you are having debt problems,